Hello there. I know most of the people there have been wondering what it is like to cross boundaries, to cross borders, to go from their country to another country. And to be specific, I'll talk about crossing boundaries from from Uganda to Kenya, and how it has been for me as a student of fashion and design. I came to Nairobi, Kenya in 2023, and that was January. It's been like just a year and a half, we can say. So it's not like so long, and again, it is so long for me to sit down and say, if I do not talk about it, I will I'll let it pass just like that. But I have to let you guys know that it was actually not an easy thing, and it was also a fulfilling journey. And I have several points that I'll be pointing out for you guys to really take note of as we continue to go. You will see what you have and what you do not have, so that you can be in control of this, so that this doesn't actually take much of your time like it did for me in the initial stages of my applications, of my gathering documents. It was difficult. Let me tell you something, I had never seen something like that, and it actually, people usually say it builds character. That was character development in itself, so I can't say I need another heartbreak. Anyway, so I'll be looking down on my phone, if you don't mind. Of course you don't mind, do you? You don't. So firstly, let me tell you, you need to have a passport at hand. I've seen most African parents say you grow up and you get your passport at the, like, oh god. I think it's now a standard. Like, every person, whether you are born or not yet born, you should be thinking about passport. I'm sorry for being funny, but I mean it, because the time it took me to first wait for my passport, it was horrific. And to be very, very honest with you guys, every school that you want to come into that is outside of your vicinity, you will need the passport. Either way, they'll be like, what's your passport number? And what are you going to tell them? You're going to have to go to the NIRA, and get that passport. So that is one thing that you should get out of your way as soon as possible, the passport. And another thing that I want to talk about is the consistency within your documents. Are your documents consistent? For example, if we check your PLE, primary living examination, if we check your UACE, are all those things in correspondence with your passport? Because that is where trouble came in for me as a person. And so I'm trying to say this because it must be consistent. Your name from your passport to your first document you acquired in school, to your second, to your third, and to whatever, your name should be the same. And even your date of birth should be the same. Everything. Now let me tell you a short story of what happened to me. So we were there in a secondary school, and in Uganda they were like, we are going to come and register you guys. Hey, do you want to come and be registered? And so you can get your ID. And people were like, sure. So we went through those things. They did the fingerprint. They did everything. So we're like, people besides us, they tell you never take advice from your age mates or people that you see are your peers. Because what we did was like, guys came from our side and they were like, if you want to get your passport, like your ID, your national ID real quick, make sure you put a year that is going to make you 18 so soon. So some of us that were born in 2003 were like, okay, so we'll change it to maybe to 1990 something. Oh my god, or 2001. But it wasn't the case, because at the end of it, when we altered the things, when we altered that your date of birth, when you alter it, it affects your passport. So be careful while you're there registering yourself. If you're called Ziraba Mzare, be Ziraba Mzare from the beginning to the end. If you're called Nantumbe or like Arebahona, be the same person consistently in your documents. It will help you. And also, if you are born in the age that you were, in the year that you were born, put it there. And to be more specific, if you don't do those things, you will find yourself signing affidavits, going to lawyers, so you can get your name corrected. See, I told you how. Prepare for your school admission. Like this is to say, in my case, as a fashion designer, of course, we were required to gather portfolios. You know what a portfolio is. If you don't mind, I can talk about it later, but today I'm telling you, you need your requirements from the beginning to the end. Schools send those things. They send a PDF where they tell you, you need this, you need this, you need that, you need that. And so you go through them and see what you can afford and why you can afford it. And even some know the cut-off points they need, so that you can check on it. You have to secure your accommodation. You have to think about things like your accommodation. You think about things like where you'll be staying, because basically, honestly, we are very spoon-fed in, I think, all places. I won't say here or here, but we are very spoon-fed. And you find we used to have dormitories, we have like matrons, we have people that are taking care of us. So the list of the things you would think about is accommodation, food, because they would even cook for you guys. So now this transition is like it's on a high speed, because you're even from your parents' home, you're like, you don't care about or cooking or something. But at this point, you remember you are like moving from, it's just like gradual. I would say they are pushing you like out from a cliff, they're pushing you from a cliff to the world. And that is what I saw as a person. So if you don't mind, think about your accommodation before coming, and it's going to help you. So So if you have relationships, like if you have people that in a certain country that you're going to, it's very easy for you to transition very well without any disturbance, and it can be helpful. But there are those people who don't even know anyone in that in the country that you're going to, and it was going to be me. But fortunately enough, my dad had a friend here, and I managed to walk on his shoulders and get to know about Kenya and everything through his friends. So before you come, think about this. Do you know anyone? And if you don't know anyone, are you going to be able to create relationships when you reach there? Because it's a different whole, you'll be you'll just be like you've been thrown in an ocean without, you don't know how to swim or something. So it's important for you to value relationships. And if you know someone you've ever heard that has ever gone to Nairobi or something, just call them and ask them, which town do you know? How do people act there? So that life can be easier for you. Now, let me tell you something, people. There is a challenge that I thought wasn't a challenge before, because in this world, we usually think we don't need the other people's things. What are you doing? These tribalistic things. You're like, what will I be doing with Maganda dance when I do? Why you even would wonder why are teachers teaching us Maganda dance when we are Banyarwanda, when we are Bafumbira, when we are Banyankore, when we are Batoro? That is what I used to think in my Form 2 to Form 3. I would be like, why are they teaching us Kiswahili? So originally Uganda doesn't speak Kiswahili, and it is one of the only countries in East Africa that you'll find people do not speak Swahili. Maybe in Rwanda, because Rwanda, I think they speak French. But for your own safety, if you feel like you want to like pass through East Africa without trouble, I think you better learn Kiswahili on your own, because I was fortunate enough that I'm a quick learner, and also I was so much on the around people that speak Swahili. But I was one of those people that said, let's chop Kiswahili, let's chop it, like let's remove it so that we can focus on these other things like math, biology, whatever. But it was very important when I came here and noticed that everyone, without an exception of your teacher, like everyone would be speaking Kiswahili, and you'd be like, Ati, why have you said that? And then they're like, oh, sorry. So they start to speak English, and even like everything around was like Kiswahili. So I was like, oh, I made a mistake. Like I wish I learned the language or something. So it is important, if you want to go to somewhere, like make sure at least you have hints about their language and work on it. It doesn't cost you a lot, but it is a good thing. These days you talk about like everything all around, and we are in Gen Z, senior Gen Z, and so I want to talk about like the overall you like must think about your mental health as you go through the whole system, because there are things that are expected of you. That whole feeling of you moving from here to another place, they'll be like, your peers will be like, oh Anita, hey, you made it. So there is that whole thing of you thinking, oh, what if I'm not living up to the expectations of my village mates? Remember, when you're here, you're representing, okay, when you're somewhere, okay, let's just begin from a small place. Like when you're in a class, you're representing your family, right? From your whole family couldn't come, but you are representing one. You're one representing your whole family in a class. So that is what happens here. You're like representing your country. You're representing everything that you have ever been connected to in Uganda. You are representing it, and you'll hear most people say, oh, I heard in Uganda they are very respectful. Even if you're not respectful, I'm telling you, take that credit, because you deserve it, because the people who are there put it. So I mean, like, the kind of things that are set around you, the thoughts that people have about you could hit different. Some are good, some are like, what can I call it? Some are demeaning, because some will be like, okay, so how did you, like, why of all places, why did you choose Kenya? And of all places, why did you choose fashion and design? And of all things, like, all those things that you yourself have thought of probably several times, and you've seen no harm in doing them. So the people, like, usually they would ask why have you chosen Kenya? And I think by the way, this is something that I have done several like I've checked, and I've noticed that the greatest people that we know in Uganda actually passed in Kenya for a while. Like, they stayed in Kenya at least for a bit, because if we are to look at Joseph Chameleon, if I would use it, like, that's an example. All his Kiswahili songs and everything that trended, wale akina, everything that we know, he learned Kiswahili from here. He says it himself. You can go to the YouTube channels that usually host those people. They host Chameleon, they host Bebe Cool. So all those people that you really look up to in the music industry, some of them started here, and they actually made it, and they say it very well. They say Kenya is a devout place more than the other side, and they say all those things, and you have to put it in mind that though people like us, they usually do not take the background check to like notice what has been happening before. And I also read a book from Janet Museveni Kataha, the one you know yourself. She's like, in her book, I'm not sure if maybe I'll put it later, but she's like, they spent time here as well as they were in exile and all those things. And she actually talks about it freely. She, like, those are the people that I know of, two people that I know of that have really done well in life. And I've gone to Kenya, not the US specifically, so I don't think you should worry about that. So what other thing there? So your mental health matters, and to put it in a good way, find a community, so you don't have to be like a loner. We understand some people are introverts, but it would be better for you to find a community. It could be either through sports or through the people that you go to school with. It could be a religious community, like any community that where I'm here. The people are not going to be speaking about school. People are not going to be speaking about anything to do with work. I'll just go there for recreational activities, and it will help you. It will be like a sanctuary for you, where you'll just be going. You're like, okay, this and this, this and that. You just go back to your week when you feel better. Adapting to the changes that happen, like, how do you cope up with them? How do you even catch up? Because I have a whole new video that is coming up about how I found the whole education system that I went for was very different from this one. So from the one that I was used to. So all those things, you must give yourself time. You must remember, you as a foreign student, or as a person that has come, you are not like on the same level with these other people that are in your class, or you're not in the same level with these other people that are already settled, and they have a standard way of living. They have already grown in this society. So it's a bit different for you, and you have to take that mindset away of saying, oh, I must be perfect. Oh, since I used to be the best in school, so now I have to also be that. If you are like not catching up, take your time, understand why, ask people what you can do about things, ask about how you can get the SIM cards, the line, the one we call a line, a SIM card. So just be yourself, ask people around. They'll be more than willing to help you. Of course, not everyone, but people around will be willing to tell you what happens around and how you can deal with everything. Yeah, so you don't have to put yourself on a pedestal at the because and so I have to be perfect. No. It's your journey. You have you have started it. You don't have to be perfect. You remember, you are growing with your own self. Like, what can I say? It's like you've been grafted from a community to another, and so you have to learn what they eat. You don't know. We've been here eating posho and meat. Like, there are things that you take time to get used to, and you enjoy later. But at the beginning, you'll be like, what is happening? You'll be like, what is happening? What is happening? What is happening? But at the end, you find a way around everything. You'll find a way around everything. You find markets that sell matoke. You find people that speak Uganda. You'll be normal. Just take your time. Take your time. You'll feel lost, but take your time. Yeah, that was it. And of course, I was about to forget to talk about myself. I'm Anita Amanya, and if you don't mind, you can subscribe. I don't think you mind. Do you? You do. I don't know. Okay, if you don't mind, you can subscribe, and then you keep checking here because I'm cooking. So stay tuned. Bye, and I love you, people.